Hello and welcome to another quick video on Copilot for Microsoft 365 and controlling web content through graph connectors. Throughout this video, we're going to be exploring exactly what is a web content plugin, the designs behind that, and why customers are looking for a little bit more control when end users are searching for more information that's not primarily located within their Microsoft 365 environments. So let's explore this a little bit more in detail. So if you're not too familiar with Copilot with web grounding, allow me a few seconds to explain the concept. Within Copilot for Microsoft 365, if there's no useful content within your own Microsoft 365 tenant, and if the GPT models aren't associating anything relevant or up to date, we can turn on the ability for Copilot to retrieve information from the web based on your prompt and also any other content it has found relating to your input. This is all done using the Bing Search API, which will then retrieve information Copilot has gathered from those relevant websites. To give you an example, a colleague of mine has put in a prompt in their demo environment asking for a list of regulators and then to find descriptions of those products. So this is essentially a two-part prompt where Copilot will search in the relevant documents to find the right information, but the descriptions might not be there. And when Copilot will have the web content plugin turned on, we will see some interesting results. The response has now been generated and you'll notice two things here. A list has been generated as requested with pricing from an Excel spreadsheet. What you will also see is that the regulator called Calypso wasn't in the original prompt, and what Copilot has done is included that specific word in the Bing search to produce a description based on what is found on the web. This is the power of grounding happening, but also is the subject of many conversations with customers if they are happy and comfortable with this concept. Many organizations are building policies and adoption strategies with this approach, but others might not be comfortable with this process. You can turn off the web content plugin as this is a tenant-wide setting, so you can't allow specific users just yet, but this might change in the future. So currently this is pretty much an all or nothing option. However, we can still see the internet as an amazing pool of information and resources. So how can we take advantage of this without exposing information to the web grounding? Fortunately, there is a solution here using graph connectors in Microsoft 365. Existing Microsoft 365 Copilot and Viva licenses allows us an item quota with graph connectors, 500 items per license just for reference. And this allows us to start exploring what resources we want to connect to and what data we can bring into the Microsoft Graph. You will notice that when I go to the Data Sources tab in the M365 Admin Center, I have a quota to tell me how many items I have so far and how much left and can connect into the Microsoft Graph. One I made earlier was a Sky Sports Enterprise website connector, as I enjoy sports, and one question I always get asked is, can Copilot tell me who won the Premier League last season, thinking that the pre-trained models up to a certain point would struggle with this. So I tend to demo without turning on the web content search and see their reactions. But in an organizational environment, I can then think about what resources would be beneficial to my environment. When I select to connect to a data source, I have some options here because it's not just for websites. We can use graph connectors to integrate with a vast range of repositories. You will see Microsoft published connectors, third-party connectors by clicking the link Find More Connectors, and you can even create your own connectors if you have the knowledge and skill sets. For this example though, we're going to select the Enterprise Website option where I can then start to enter information about this connector. I want to use the Information Commissioner's Office, or ICO, as this is a really good example for tapping into UK guidance and guidelines on information rights. Because there isn't any access control list, my only option is to make this data source available to anyone in my organization, and we'll see the search results if their prompt has the specific triggers which retrieves the indexed information. There are advanced settings such as selecting meta tags, custom properties, excluding URLs, and also the refresh settings for regular syncs of this data source. Once configured to our requirements, we can then publish this connector, and we can also see this in action from an end user perspective. Within Teams, we have the Copilot app where we can then use the grounding experience to generate some answers for us. As you can see, I have the web content plugin turned off, but my prompt is asking for guidance on AI and data protection. And because that data can be found and has already been indexed using the Graph connector, it will reference this source as relevant to my query. It now pulls out the various sources here for my exploration rather than performing a full Bing search. As a summarization or conclusion, web grounding is a great way to extend knowledge as there are so much useful resources online. But using graph connectors is a great way to connect external data sources like websites in order to expand your end user's knowledge when using Copilot, but in a more controlled setting with allowed websites which are deemed as useful and relevant to your organization. If you do go down this route but find that you will exceed your graph connector item quota, you can purchase additional allowances, and this will then allow you to add more content as you're growing this out. I hope that this has been useful and sparks more conversations in your Copilot adoption. But for any more information, please do comment on the video or reach out to your Microsoft account team to find out more. For now though, thank you so much for watching and take care.